Hello and welcome to today's webinar, FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, Mastering License Management at Scale. If you have any questions during today's presentation, please submit them in the Q&A box on the right-hand side of your screen. We would love for this to be an interactive session, so get your questions coming in. My name's Chris Cahill. I'm part of the marketing team here at Revenera. And today I'm joined by Ravi, Trivedi, Senior Product Manager of our software licensing solutions. And we have a very special guest in Rajendra Kundapur, Executive Director of R&D at Synopsys, who are a long-time Revenera customer. Raj, thank you very much for joining us. We're looking forward to hearing all about your story today.
Sure, thank you, Chris.
Cool. So this webinar is all about the new solution, FlexNet Publisher Enterprise. So everybody in this audience is intimately familiar with Revenera and our licensing and enticement management technology, particularly FlexNet Publisher, which I believe all of you use. I think it's embedded into the back office processes of all of your businesses. And I'm sure it has been for many years. I know that many of you still refer to it as FlexLM, Flexible License Manager, even though I believe it officially changed name to FlexNet Publisher in 2009. But hey, I guess we all wish we were 15, 20 years younger than we are. But this technology, it's been around for a long time and it's helped your businesses grow, providing that flexible, reliable licensing infrastructure for you to build on. But as we all know, in the tech space, the only constant is change. And Revenera's technology is no different. We're always evolving, refining, and bringing new technology to market. And that's why we're here today. That's how FlexNet Publisher Enterprise has come into existence. And what I love about this solution is how it was developed in collaboration with one of our biggest customers, Synopsys. And that's why Raj is here today to talk us through how and why this new solution has come to the market. So Raj, thank you once again for joining us, particularly as I know it's an extremely busy time because Synopsys has just announced the acquisition of another one of Revenera's longtime customers, Ansys.
Yes, that's true. I think that's a great news for us also. It's been a long journey, on how this whole deal was closed. I think we are basically as one company as of now, and looking forward to work together to bring these technologies together to our customers.
Yeah, great to hear. And so could you give us a bit of a background about yourself and your role at Synopsys?
Yeah, so I'm an R&D executive director at Synopsys. I have multiple responsibilities. I'm driving multiple initiatives as part of the central engineering group. Some of the initiatives I'm driving is related to distributed processing solutions and architecture for our products, software telemetry, software profiling of the tools, cloud, and last but not the least is the software security and licensing for all Synopsys products. One of the team drives this initiative for Synopsys. And I've been part of the Synopsys for last almost 25 years now. Part of Revenera's Globetrotter Macrovision journey for 25 years.
Well, you really were there for the FlexLM days, hey? So I'm sure like lots of people in the audience will be familiar with Synopsys, but for those who aren't, could you give them a bit of a background on the solutions you offer, who your target customers are, and how you help them?
Yeah, so for those who don't know what Synopsys does, we are the global leader in electronics design automation and silicon semiconductors IP. We play a very crucial role in development of advanced silicon chips and systems. We have been in business since 1986, and we provide silicon IP libraries, software, and services for customers who design very complex semiconductor chips. We try to empower them in their innovations, to develop the consumer products. We are into automobile space, aerospace, and you name the technology segment, we are there.
Mm.
And as you just mentioned about, Ansys is just a recent acquisition, just closed last week. And Ansys they are leaders in simulations, multi-physics simulations. So Synopsys helps you to design chips at a very low level, transistor level, all the way with Ansys acquisition. What you can do is you can try to simulate and design any system. So we are from silicon to system design, software vendors.
Mm-hmm.
So the goal for us is one should be able to simulate and create a digital twin of any entity that exists on this world. You should be able to simulate or create a digital twin with our software offerings of a human body, or it could be complete of an automobile. Before you go and try to manufacture anything, you should be able to simulate that within the software.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know this has been like a huge area of change, right? The increased demand for the whole like semiconductor supply chain. It's been a real rapid development in the past few years with the rise of AI, machine learning. And I guess that takes us on to the next talking point. So at what point did you start to kind of experience a problem with the FlexNet Publisher license capacity?
So if you look at our industry in the last decade or so, things have been changing very drastically. The design complexity of a silicon chip, you can imagine that, trying to put 1 billion transistors in a square inch, area is not an easy thing, right? So trying to put 1 billion transistor onto a chip requires a lot of simulations in the software. You cannot just go onto a foundry. And verification of the physical design, all this process has skyrocketed in the last decade or so. And this is not possible with whatever compute that is available on-prem. You have to go on to the cloud. That means when you go to the cloud, what is typically happening is you have almost unlimited compute resources with you to do all the simulations. In addition to that, the AI and ML integration, EDA tools are increasingly leveraging AI and ML algorithms to optimize design, predict performance bottlenecks, and to also accelerate verification. So again, the compute cover resources becomes paramount here to do any kind of AI simulations. So what our customers have been doing is they're also moving to the cloud for the capacity requirement. And last but not the least, also in the recent times, the time to market, that window has collapsed drastically. That means companies are pushing for faster design cycles. There is a necessity to run more and more simulations and verifications in a very short while. That means your compute capacity is increasing drastically. When your compute capacity increases, basically the underlying licensing infrastructure also must scale. If the licensing infrastructure doesn't scale, that means you're not able to use our tool or scale our tool on the cloud. So one of the key requirement for us to collaborate with Revenera is the requirement on how we can scale the licensing infrastructure as the capacity of our compute capacity and the tools that we're running also horizontally trying to scale. And that was one of the biggest bottleneck or the challenges that we had, when we wanted to push this to the customer on trying to scale horizontally on the cloud.
So your customers were facing like bottlenecks, right? So that they weren't able to access the resources that they needed in sufficient quantity or within a fast enough time. So at what point did you kind of alert Revenera to this challenge, and how did you engage the Revenera team to find a solution?
So if you look at FlexNet Publisher is one of the tool that we use, and we have been using that solution or technology since 1997. And what has happened is the FlexNet Publisher in general has to also scale horizontally, right? So what's happening is customers are buying high-end machines. You can't go and buy a 2-core or a 4-core machine anymore right now. So you have to, the minimum that you get is 8 or 16 or 32-core machines. And also what we're telling our customer is, when you run FlexNet Publisher on this machine, don't run anything else. So you're dedicating a 32 or a 16-core machine to run FlexNet Publisher. And if FlexNet Publisher is not able to take advantage of all the hardware resources that are there, then the customers are feeling that, hey, I'm investing so much on the hardware, but your software is not really scaling to that hardware that is available. So that was one of the requirements. There is increase in the compute capacity, increase in the tool usage, but the license infrastructure was not scaling. So what our customers were trying to do is they were trying to replicate multiple missions. Like, for example, if you take one of the largest Synopsys customers, they could have around 400 FlexNet Publisher license server in their environment just for Synopsys tools. Now, they are trying to increase their capacity and increase the usage of our tools. And one of the issues is, yes, I'm going to increase the usage of your tool, but don't tell me that I have to get another 100 additional hardware resources to run the FlexNet publishers, right? So you are not, basically, I have invested enough onto the hardware infrastructure for licensing, and you're not taking advantage of the underlying hardware. So I'm not going to put additional hardware just to increase the capacity of the usage of our tool.
Yeah. Right. So yeah, it's putting a lot of kind of increased responsibility and increased pressure on your customers to manage their license infrastructure.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think. Yeah, I mean, at least as Synopsys team explained the problem to us initially, right? I could relate to whatever Raj is saying right now. These are exact problems that we solved along with Synopsys and other EDA vendors' feedback in this field. So I think as we progress through the presentation, I'll delve deeper into all of this, right? But apart from the partnership that Raj described, right, between Synopsys and Revenera, there are two other notable features. The common vendor daemon, right? I've seen Synopsys acquire so many companies, and to give a uniform branding or customer experience, the way they leverage common vendor daemon of FlexNet Publisher for making these buyers a transparent process of these acquisitions and mergers happening, right? When it stuns me on how they leverage that feature and the package capabilities that they use to give an experience of bundles, products, and suites to their customers, right? Is something that I've noticed in this integration. So coming back to the scale, capacity, and all that, right? The AI ML driven capacity. Definitely in the semiconductor supply chain, they are the first drivers onto this, right? These softwares are being put in the test automation space or design phase where the licensing capacity needs to scale with the kind of demand that they have. I was at an AI conference last week and they said, I mean, this is like, the way IT industry was revolutionized in the past was it took something new to come in and settle down 6-7 years or so. The AI and ML is making rapid progresses, and the way AI is changing things. Now we're talking about weeks and months how this revolution is happening, and you can imagine the kind of scale that these semiconductors need to meet and support for creating a semiconductor for such requirements, right? So I think scale, number one driver is the EDA space. The other things we've heard from our experience of talking to other Revenera customers is that in oil and natural gas exploration also, the softwares that are helping people process the seismic data and all that is like has also increased multifold, right? The licensed components that are handling the number of data that is used to help the oil and natural gas exploration has also increased exponentially. That's another reason why licensing infrastructure needs to scale. There's high performance computing that Raj spoke about, right? People are putting the HPC flows on the cloud, or HPC could be in other contexts, also other industry contexts. So they are setting up huge server farms using schedulers like IBM LSF, and then trying to work through the capacity we have, right? The other thing is the animation studios who are providing rendering farms to people who are using their softwares are another drivers for the kind of capacity that we are developing in continuous feedback with Synopsys, right? So I just wanted to call out that EDA, the first driver, the semiconductor, AI, ML chip demand, the first driver, and other things that we are hearing in market, right? And what all that led to is why we are here today, right? FlexNet Publisher, you're used to it. Some of you on the call may already know the solution, but the FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, the add-on to that is simply, it's simplifying the complex server infrastructure that Raj described, right? Imagine the left-hand side where you have a lab that's running so many licensed servers with different hardwares, and we'll break it down as we go on why they needed so many machines and how FlexNet Publisher Enterprise solves the problem. But really, it's here to simplify the server infrastructure so that a software vendor or a device manufacturer can maintain their renewals, and it can help keeping their recurring revenue intact. At the same time, the buyer, right, who is actually spinning up and managing those on-prem license servers. Remember, although vendors supply their vendor daemons, it is the buyer's company who deploy and manage that within on-prem in case of FlexNet Publisher, and to help them streamline their operations, reduce the operational cost, and run a profitable business. That's where FlexNet Publisher Enterprise comes in. So I'll break it down as we go, right? I mean, starting with, let's say, we start with the problem, right? We spoke about the capacity challenges, the kind of industry that we are operating in, right? So the crux of all this is that I'm going to talk about a lab test that we do within FlexNet Publisher and Revenera Enterprise. We know that when you run a FlexNet Publisher license server on a Linux machine today, the moment you go beyond 120K concurrent connections or connected clients, this is plain vanilla FlexNet Publisher without the customizations that a lot of EDA vendors do around it, right? It could be much slower in those cases. But what happens is once they reach this 120K capacity, they can't continue in the sense that they will have to spin up more FNP license servers for the kind of capacity that they might need from a license server, right? So the only option for the buyers is to deploy one more license server and put some more counts on the next server. And likewise, this process continues, and over a period of time, the end customers, right, buyers of FNP license servers, license softwares, actually have to manage hundreds of license servers. And this is what is costing a lot of operations cost to these buyers. And when this happens, they bring it up with the software vendors and say that, oh yeah, I mean, we need to get maximum value out of our purchases, and we need FlexNet Publisher to respond to the increasing capacity needs that are driven by the designs that we are making using these softwares, right? So yeah, so those are the challenges today with the existing FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, right? And to give you an idea of how a typical lab would look like with how the business is done today, right, is if you had a typical buyer company who is doing this high performance computing and they're automating this test flows that use this design softwares or do automation using this softwares, actually spin up hundreds of thousands of workflows in a day for that faster time to market that Raj explained, right? You have so many licensed applications that needs to borrow license from multiple EDA vendors software, right? And each of those EDA vendors software, based on the problem I explained in the last slide, are setting up or causing the IT infrastructure to look like what you see on right-hand side. Per EDA vendor, they'll be running hundreds of licensed servers for their capacity demands, right? And likewise, if you're buying software from more than one EDA vendors, you are ending up with like more than 400, 500 licensed servers to manage. Imagine an IT guy who is managing so many boxes or virtual machines to support this kind of flow. It's a cost of keeping these licensed servers up, applying new changes, applying the updates, running restarts if needed at a certain time of the year, right? So it's a lot of operational cost for those buyers. That's the consequence that we are looking at, which is the scenario in the IT lab today. And we really want to solve that using FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, the reason why we are in this webinar today. And ideally what Revenera wants to do is have those buyers manage one FNP enterprise, which is a load balanced version of a single EDA vendor daemon eventually, and then simplify their lab infrastructure. So the same IT lab would look like a buyer is running few FNP enterprise machines versus so many FNP vendor daemons that they've been used to running in the past. So yeah, the outcome is really that we by giving this FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, we want to reduce the number of instances that the buyers have to manage to meet their capacity and really simplify their operations and have them save operational costs. And as a result, we want them to be a happy customer for software vendors in the EDA space, Synopsys being a leader there. Yeah. So, yeah.
Sorry, Ravi. As a non-technical person who's just used to technology just seamlessly working in the background, it kind of blows my mind to think that end customers are spinning up hundreds of license servers just to manage their day-to-day operations. So yeah, you can certainly see where the issues are, and of course, the more license servers they keep adding to, then the cost goes up. So already I'm seeing the benefits. I like the visualization you've got here of the impact they're able to make by reducing the infrastructure that they're responsible for.
Yeah. So this is exciting. I mean, although I'm in this slide, if I go back to how the IT is today, maybe I can ask Raj if is this the kind of things that you've heard from your customers? I know you gave some background in the beginning, but is this something that you hear your customers telling you about FlexNet Publisher, and if at all, how have you responded to it?
Yeah. So when we started engaging with you guys about this challenge that we had almost a year back, the capacity of a FlexNet Publisher was it could handle close to around 40 to 50K clients, parallel clients talking to a single instance of a FlexNet server. And the second thing was, what we are trying to measure was, it could handle around 1,000 transactions. When I say 1,000 transactions, so 1,000 license activities with one instance of the FlexNet Publisher. And when we wanted to increase the capacities, our customers were saying that, hey, we are going to increase the usage of your tools, but we are not going to increase the capacity for the license server. And the constraint that we had is, how do we increase our tool usage without increasing the, hardware requirement for the license infrastructure? So one of the requirements that we put forward is a single instance of a FlexNet Publisher should handle close to half a million clients. That was one of the requirements that we put forward. The second requirement that we put forward is a single instance of a FlexNet Publisher should handle around close to 10,000 transactions per second, not 1,000 transactions as of the traditional FlexNet Publisher has. And the third constraint that we put forward is, our customers are not going to change the clients or the applications because there is so much of, baggage in their environment that if they have designed a chip with a set of versions of our tool, they want to continue that version of the tool. So asking them to upgrade because of some re-architecture in the FlexNet Publisher, asking them to upgrade in the client is totally no. So we put forward these constraints, and I'm happy to say that the release that you have given us meets all our requirements of having the capacity of having close to 500,000 clients connected to a single instance of FlexNet Publishers, and also having close to around 10,000 transactions per second.
Fantastic.
That's
great to hear, Raj.
Yeah, good to hear that, Raj. Yeah, we're glad that we got there, right? So, I think if I put more context to what Raj just said around what, how, in the form of what, how, right? What we did after Synopsys guided us initially with this requirement is that the FlexNet Publisher Enterprise actually leveraged its own bespoke LMGRD because we can't break the way old licensed softwares are running in field. So the gateway still should be a LMGRD based server that's then made intelligent enough to do load balancing. But what it does is it smartly spins up more instance of the same producer's vendor daemons to leverage multi-cores. We couldn't multi-thread given the age of technology, but we could definitely put things on different processes. And LMGRD, as connections arrived from old or new clients, was smartly able to find which is the least busy server and redirect those clients to them. And in this way, we were able to leverage multi-cores that were thrown at it and give these buyers the multifold capacity with the same compute that they might be having, right? The old infrastructure that they have. So this actually reduced significantly the number of servers that some of these big buyers needed to maintain, right? And how it worked is we offered this new FNP Enterprise. It's not different from how you integrate with FlexNet Publisher today. This is also a toolkit. You just have a smarter LMGRD and a toolkit that gives you faster reporting. That's that needs to also match the capacity that server is doing. And then I have the software vendors integrate with this FNP Enterprise like they build their vendor daemons regularly. And then the end customers can then deploy this new vendors. The positive outcomes really, it's already evident, but I just call out that they experienced the streamlined operations and reduced operational cost, right? And what this means for a software vendor is that the end customer satisfaction with some of their biggest buyers, right? It's the capacity problem may not be so big with small and medium SMEs, right? But then for big enterprise customers, this is definitely something that they want, right? So and we believe this is going to result into a lot of healthy renewals and license licensing being part of renewal conversation being set aside going forward. Yeah, I think Raja, we already touched upon this. You've been a key driver and a big advisor on how Revenera and my team solved this issue. Can you explain a bit on the success so far, or what are the benefits that you are seeing in your pilot phase, or whatever stage you are in right now? Yeah.
Sure. You guys are able to hear me, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, okay. So the pilot has been really successful so far, and we have also deployed this at a few of our customers, not just in the pilot or a beta stage. They have also deployed this into production. As I mentioned earlier, some of our large customers have close to around 300 to 400 instances of our FlexNet Publisher running within their environment. So what they have started doing is trying to consolidate that, instead of running 10 instances of FlexNet Publisher, which has a capacity of around 40, 50K client connections, they are replacing that 10 instances of the FlexNet Publisher to one instance of FlexNet Publisher. That way, the benefit for them is instead of managing 10 different license servers, they are managing only one license service. Instead of extracting reports from 10 different license FlexNet Publisher servers, they have to extract reporting from just one server. In fact, in some of our customers, they have every 5 instance of a FlexNet Publisher, there is one IT person dedicated to manage those servers and generate reports, look at the health of the servers and so on. Now you can imagine, those things, 10 of them getting replaced with one instance. What's the benefit that the customers are going to gain? In addition to that, our tools we can scale right now, because with less number of FlexNet publishers, you can have more instances of our tools running within a customer environment. So to summarize, I think this has been a very great partnership, and you guys have delivered based on all the constraints that we have put forward. I think it's successfully been deployed at a few of our customers, and we are planning to make this as a GA release, starting in the next 3 months or so, making it available to all our customers.
Okay, I'm very glad, and Raj and team, thanks for guiding us throughout this process, and being with us while trying so many options, and the test builds or alpha, beta, and all the early access stuff. Now, if you are a software vendor and you've joined this webinar, right? I mean, we've learned from Raj some of the things I've known from other industries that we work with. But if you really want to understand or help find signs that your buyers also need something like FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, is during renewal, when they are saying that they are not able to succeed with your tools, softwares, or simulators because of the FNP server capacity that they have, then it's a way to look at FlexNet Publisher Enterprise to solve that problem. When your end users show interest in optimizing the license server's operational costs, that's another sign that you need to consider FlexNet Publisher Enterprise. And if your current license server capacity is hindering your buyers' success with your products, something similar to the first point we discussed, then that's another sign. And if you know, I mean, I've been on some support calls where you would see a buyer of FNP license software say that, I'm managing anywhere between tens or in some cases hundreds of license servers. And if you hear that that's the case, that your buyers have to handle the increased capacity demands, then you definitely need to consider moving to FlexNet Publisher Enterprise. So yeah, this is just a guideline for other software vendors or device manufacturers who might sit through this webinar, that you might need FlexNet Publisher Enterprise there. I think if I want to sum it up, Chris, do you want me to sum up this, or?
Yeah, go ahead, Ravi. Although yeah. I just say that there is a question in the chat, although it's not related to FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, so we might have to answer that afterwards.
Okay.
But if anybody in the audience does have a question for Raj, this is your opportunity to ask him and ask him for his experience and his opinion. But yeah, Ravi, if you want to take this and wrap up.
Yeah. So if you joined the webinar or you're sitting through the recording, thanks for giving us your valuable time. The key takeaways for you from this is that FlexNet Publisher Enterprise gives you enhanced capacity, and it's meant to reduce operational costs for your buyers, right? It gives you 12x the capacity with the same resources thrown at it, and that's going to significantly improve the performance and lower operational cost for your top buyers, right? And again, this is about simplifying the IT infrastructure where the license servers are deployed and managed by your end customers. The improved reliability will ensure customers can focus on their core priorities and they continue getting value out of your softwares rather than worrying about license server capacity and playing around licensing infrastructure and managing them as pets, right? So that's streamlined operations and obviously improved end customer satisfaction. Ideally, licensing should be transparent to them, and this optimized performance and uninterrupted access to your software will strengthen your retention with your top accounts. So yeah, these are the key takeaways from this webinar. Yes.
Thank you, Ravi.
Okay.
And I guess we should just reassure everybody that just because we've launched a new solution, FlexNet Publisher Enterprise, FlexNet Publisher is not going away. It's going to continue to be developed and invested in. But yeah, this is a new solution which is going to be appropriate for certain vertical markets, and to ultimately help you or help your customers achieve more while managing less infrastructure. So yeah, if your customers are experiencing capacity issues or they're not happy with the operational costs, the number of license servers they're spinning up, then yeah, do get in touch with your Revenera account team and we can see if FlexNet Publisher Enterprise is potentially a better solution for you. Raj, there is a question in the chat here. Here we go.
Can I? Yeah. If there's something related to FNP feature, maybe I can take that. I see one question is Triad also taken care of enterprise tool, right? So FlexNet Publisher Enterprise gives you multifold capacity, but then the question seems like if I have a failover situation, right, can FNP Enterprise work in that mode? So we haven't put the FNP Enterprise inside a Triad, but the way we built the solution, we are optimistic that it should work in Triad, but it will take us a couple of quarters to validate that and give an official statement. If you put the same FNP Enterprise inside a Triad, right, then what can you expect out of it, or is it business as normal or not? So it's going to take us a couple of quarters. If you follow the FNP roadmap, you will see Triad support for FNP Enterprise coming up. Yeah. There's another one from Kenneth. How does FNP Enterprise handle vendor restriction? Example, regional usage. If you have, as I understood, one server per vendor. Yeah. So yeah. So if you're used to putting, if your customers are used to putting multiple vendor daemons per regions, right, to to keep the allocations separate. Then when you have this consolidation, you could rely on time zone licensing and time zone restrictions that we have. So you could have a single FNP enterprise, and your new license certificates could have time zone restriction. If you look at our guide, it will allow you to have one license certificate that can serve the feature restricted to certain time zones. So I'd say you've got it right that when this consolidation happens, you're going to have lesser number of servers. And if you have to handle the regional usage, then you could split the license certificate smartly in that way. I see one question from Vinita. Okay, it's not related to FNP Enterprise, but I want to know if there are any plans to support FNP client-side trusted storage on Kubernetes Linux containers. Okay, so yeah, again, if you follow the FNP roadmap, in the early 2026 or its future, there will be support for Docker container, Kubernetes, Podman, and Alpine. These are the 4 major technologies that we are researching on right now. It will be on future roadmap, but we do have plans to support now. When that will be available as a client-side trusted storage, I'll have to check with Tim. Vinita, I think we should chat on email also about this topic. Yeah.
Thanks very much, Ravi. Oh, there's another question that's just come in, or not a question, just a comment. Okay. The regional split is usually due to cost. Okay. Raj, thank you very much for your time. Do you have any final words of advice for any FlexNet Publisher users who may be facing similar challenges to those you faced this time last year?
Yeah, so I think I want to state that, Synopsys has a very complex environment, for licensing, so for Revenera to partner with us and validate the FlexNet Enterprise solution within the Synopsys customer infrastructure, customer environment, and even within Synopsys, that means you've got the right test bed to validate your software. If it has passed our test cases and our setup and environment, our customer setup and environment, that means it's ready for deployment anywhere else, any other software industries, it can be easily deployed.
Great, thank you. So, Raj, good luck with the future world of Synopsys and the whole integration side of the Ansys acquisition. I know it's very exciting and busy time for you. Okay, Ravi, Raj, thank you so much for your time today. Everybody in the audience, if you have any follow-up questions, please get in touch with your Revenera account team, and we'll be in touch.